All right, hello, welcome to the Buns of Murder podcast, episode 74. We're here with the normal boring guys, and we have
Fuck
a
you.
guest.
Every time you call us boring.
Yeah, you're such a fucking asshole. I hate you.
I'm including myself in that too.
Sure you are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a John Lithgow as the Trinity
Oh,
killer.
wait,
Goes,
wait.
You're a cunt.
Wait. Cracking.
Very nice. Very nice.
And yeah, we're here with Ben, aka Brainsmasher.
Cool.
That's me. Thanks for having me, guys. AKA
Yeah.
Syntax A.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been listening to you guys for a bit, following you on IG, and I think
That's
we're
crazy.
brethren of the same cloth, digging up old, obscure bullshit metal releases that nobody else gives a fuck about. So,
Yeah, right.
kindred spirits for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised when I realized, oh, Brainsmasher knows who we are. Whoa.
Well, imagine my surprise when somebody's like, I want to talk about Satan's Almighty Penis for 3 fucking hours.
Yeah.
And then we figured out it was a band.
Right?
Oh. Bazinga or something. You like that, Fred?
But
So,
yeah,
we're going to be delving into the Cunt of Chaos tonight, right?
yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. I've actually had that CD for I don't know how long. Jesus Christ. When did
Since
that come
03? 04?
out? 04? I probably got it like around 2008.
Damn, Freddy.
Had it for a long time.
Yeah,
It's not a hard album to find, really.
I don't
It
even
wasn't- it
remember
wasn't
how
back
I
then.
came across this band before. I think I don't remember. A lot of people said they found this band through like AOL chat rooms and shit.
I don't think we're that old, are we?
AOL. Well, when did that album come out? In 2004. I'm not even doing my homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to do all weekend. Just watch Dexter. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I told you I was busy doing nothing.
Yeah, it's a 24th
But I'm here now.
anniversary. Or 20th anniversary.
Oh, there you go. Got it in a relevant time.
Hard to... it's crazy to believe. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, but
Is Almighty Penis still going, or is it over?
No, pretty defunct. And I'm pretty adamant about it because I don't really like it when bands like sully their legacy by trying to rehash it or reclaim the throne they once had or whatever. If we were going to do something again, I would want to call it something else. I like what little reputation we may have. I don't want to sully it by making some lackluster black metal because we already were making lackluster black metal. But yeah,
No, man.
let sleeping corpses lie.
But I'll say, like, with those 4 releases, it's like consistently interesting and entertaining the whole way through. Like, just riff wise, you don't hear that in any other bands. Like, it's so weird to see what was it, morbid anal fog as a
Yeah, I talked about them before. The Nocturnal Bacon Throne.
yeah, as like a similar artist. I'm like, they don't sound like that at all. I think they just sort of lump you guys together as like parody, but it goes way beyond that. Like with
On
this
account of the
release,
funny name.
yeah. But we can get into that a little bit later. How about you just tell us about yourself and for the people who don't know, and then we can get into all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So I've been a metalhead since, I don't know, like maybe 96, 95, somewhere around there. I was 17 years old, got into like Carcass, Fear Factory, At the Gates, Abgor, Emperor, Dissection, all that shit. It was kind of hot back then, and it just changed my life. Been on that path ever since, and now I've got like 6,000 metal albums in my fucking house. And I don't see any time stopping soon.
Damn,
Played
it's
in
more
Satan's
than you,
Almighty
Fred.
Penis.
Yeah, Fred's got to up his game. He's only got 4,000.
No,
Five.
it's a bad decision. I don't want to.
Closer to 5, but still.
Oh hell yeah! Fred's moving up in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I always wanted to be a singer in a band, and once the Satan's Almighty Penis, you still there?
Yeah.
All right, dropped off there. One thing, I can't hear myself, so
Oh, you're
it's gonna
good.
be a little weird for me. But so I always wanted to be a singer in a band, and once this especially once I got into black metal, I was like, that I could totally do that. I could totally screech. I could scream my fucking head off. So once Satan's Almighty Penis came along, and I saw a room for a vocalist, I squeezed my ass in there and started doing it. Then I kind of always wanted to play drums too, so I wound up picking up that around 2005 or so. And then I played on the Pulsing Feral Spire and the Thy Foulness Come 7-inch. Did a lot of experimentation with like noisy electronic synth kind of stuff too. Back around 98, 99 or so, I got really into like Skinny Puppy and Aphex Twin and a lot of other kind of 80s synth pop kind of shit that I missed out on. And then got into the kind of like the current noise scene and some of the grindy stuff that was coming out around then. So I bought myself a synthesizer and wound up bringing that into Satan's Almighty Penis too. So I was really trying to bring as much as I could to the band to just kind of stay relevant and creative and just make the most of the time that we were spending writing songs and stuff. For what turned out to be, we actually just started as a joke band. So we were noticing this today. I was talking to my partner about this. It was like, so we named the band in a way that would tell anybody who would possibly pick this up and want to pay attention to it to fuck off. But if you can get past that and you're not scared of a band called Satan's Almighty Penis and you listen to it, it's actually kind of good. It actually sounds like we're kind of trying to make good black metal. So
yeah, it's a good barrier
on the
to
zoom
entry.
out of it, like black metal is all about like. Right. We're putting up as many barriers as we can so that at the bottom of it, it seems like you worked really hard and your diligence paid off by getting some decent black metal, I guess, was our MO to it. But also, like, having the name out of the way, kind of, like, just accepting a stupid name just kind of, like, made the creative boundaries not there at all. We could, like, talk about anything. Because you got to make any kind of black metal under the banner of Satan's Almighty Penis. But it started as a solo project by Lord Psionics. He had kind of a home studio kind of thing, and he was recording this band called Erasmus, and they did a full length back in like 98 called Forged for Proof Etern. And those guys were very, what's the word? I don't know. Up their own asses. Yes, is the word I want to use. And it was really difficult to record their album for Lord Psionics. So once they were done, he was just like, I'm going to write a fuck black metal solo project demo, and I'm just going to call it the stupidest thing I can think of. And so he banged out Torn by the Shaft of Satan in like 2 or 3 days with no vocals on it. He's like, I'm making instrumental joke black metal. And so once I heard it, I was like, you really should let me sing on that. And he did. I went down and like the first thing I ever sang on. I didn't even write lyrics for it. It was like, since the songs already had weird titles on them, I didn't want to like try and make up lyrics to it. So for a lot of it, I just kind of screamed like gobbledygook bullshit, and some of them I sang some Depeche Mode lyrics. Not that I was like super obsessed with them or anything. It was just like, that was off the top of my head. Whatever came to mind. A funny anecdote about Torn by the Shaft of Satan. So this was only released digitally at first on mp3.com, and back then the way that worked, or like how you could find bands, was you would just click on black metal and then they would like alphabetically list all of them, and then if you went to like songs, it would just have all the black metal songs. And so Sardonyx figured out that if he had a song that had 5 A's in the front of the song title, it would show up.
Yeah, there you go. Abba Shibba Good, the Unmerciful.
Yeah, so that's how we kind of started the ball rolling. And then mp3.com would do this thing that was kind of forward thinking for their time, I think. If someone wanted to order a CDR of your release, they would just press it and mail it and send you a little bit of chunk of change off of it. Kind of like Bandcamp, only they really did everything for you. So we started to get some orders off of that, and we were like, holy shit, people actually want this? This is fucking weird. So, I don't know, it's just kind of like the story all along. Is like we were surprised that people liked this from the get-go. at every step of the way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what the like initial reception was, because it wasn't like you guys were pushing it at shows or anything. It was more just like an internet band.
Yeah, I mean, like once I came along, I was kind of the one pushing this thing to be more than just a basement thing that never turned into anything. Because I thought his riffing is exceptional on that, and I thought the other bands that he did before that were great. So you can, like you said, you can definitely tell like his guitar work is unique, and his personality and everything he does is like really linear, and you can hear his personality in everything he does. But so yeah, like no shows. There was no other black metal bands in Iowa outside of Erasmus and then Satan's Almighty Penis. We were,
Slipknot.
as far as I know, like even historically, like there's only 2 black metal bands from Iowa. Angel Kill, I don't really count; they kind of suck. And they were more like a solo project death metal kind of thing that was being like blasphemous in a black metal way, but I'm not counting that.
Yeah.
And then there was this band from Atomo called Vim Patior, who had a release on Wild Rags back in like '94. But as far as I know, in my 28 years of being a metalhead, I've never heard of another black metal band from that time period from Iowa.
It's intimidating.
Sure. But yeah, it was all internet from then. And then after we did those, I don't know, 6 songs on the first release, then we started. So the Erasmus thing kind of continues on. So Erasmus had their drums all set up to record in their, I don't know, bedroom studio, if you will. And they had gotten a brand new recorder, all these microphones, and set up to record. And I said to Sardonyx, I was like, hey, why don't you just go over there and record him, like, just fucking off on the drums for, like, an hour. And then we can just, like, cut it up and use it to make our album.
That's a good idea.
I didn't like the way that he programmed drums on Torn by the Shaft of Satan. Looking back, I kind of like it now. It's like super simplistic and monochromatic, but I really wanted to kind of like develop the idea further. So he recorded an hour of him playing drums and chopped it up, and that is all the drums on Into the Cunt of Chaos. And I thought he did a pretty good job of that. I thought the mics sounded great. I think the kit just sounds really real and cool. I think the kick drums sound killer on it.
Well, that
so
makes sense.
A lot of
why,
people.
I was gonna say that makes sense why there's like 3 guys on drums for in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm kind of the only guy that ever played drums in the band, I guess. Yeah, so the drummer never, like, it was kind of like a session drummer, but not really. I thought he did kind of a clumsy job chopping the drums together. I really wish there was room for like fills that would transition into the next part, or like variations upon patterns that would make it a little more interesting, like the embellishments that you really look for to make black metal fascinating.
Man, that's cool. You guys like basically made your own like sample pack from this guy's this drumming session. I think the only time where I hear it's like really chopped up is in Perishing Jehovah. I think there's like some like hi-hat work that's kind of, you can hear like the digitization on it, but I think it's cool because you guys is basically leaning into the being sampled, you know?
Yeah. There's I guess that's good to hear, because I hear a lot of the problems with the drums that I know are like not real, or like bad cuts or whatever. Like rhythmically it all works out fine, but like I said, I just wish there were more real drum kind of human moments that made it sound more real. But in lieu of practicing and writing these songs with everybody in the room, this turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Thanks.
Almighty.
So the recording of that album, so he would like chop up all the drums and then write riffs over it, and then just have me come over, and I would be like, all right, recording vocals today, and he would hand me the lyrics, and I would look it over and listen to the song a couple times and be like, all right, I think we can do this. And I would just go into the recording booth and just screech my fucking head off, and that was how the album came to be. So we didn't really, have a lot of artistic consensus in the writing process of this album. It was kind of like, I guess, the main part of the music was mostly arranged by Lord Sardonyx on drums and guitar. But I really wanted to like match that. I really wanted to put as much effort into my vocals as I thought he did in the music.
Oh man, your
so-
your vocals are insane. Like you could just like hear that shit tearing apart, and it just sounds
Yeah.
so like just like aggro. It's like probably one of my, I told you this off air. I was like, this is probably one of my favorite black metal records, but that's like one of my favorite black metal performances vocal wise. Like you are up to par with like a guy that wrote all the music. You put in just as just the same amount of effort as he did.
Yeah, I like to think so. I tried to make sure it hurt. Eventually, after I think maybe the second session or so, I came out of the studio with my throat bleeding. I was like coughing up blood, and so I was like, you know what? Every time I record, I want to make sure that I am bleeding when I am done. Yeah, so
commitment.
most
like
of the songs on that album I recorded coughing up blood afterwards, and I was like, all right, we got it. Give me some chocolate milk.
And you vary it too. I think towards the end of the album, with I think it's Tentacles and the last song, Empire of Necromancers. You bring in those death metal vocals too, and those are like fucking awesome.
Yeah, I really wanted to try everything out and see what I was good at, and I kind of felt like I did pretty good at mostly everything, except there's some clean talking kind of stuff.
Oh no, I
in
like the spoken word. It's cool.
Tentacles. Yeah, it was okay for some variation. I would criticize it like it's not that, I don't know, charismatic or whatever, but
Yeah, we always
Yeah, what
like
do you guys
talk
think?
about like other albums where it's like where people talk on it. They'll do like a Severus Snape from like Harry Potter kind of
That's
voice.
mostly the like gothic death metal albums. Is where
Yeah.
they do that.
Oh, Paul, do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they're like let's see. Let me get some lyrics out here.
Just make them up.
Oh well, me and Sardonyx always do is obscurus, never heard of us, dominus.
But it would be like, I stand knee deep in the blood of children, and they are food at the feast of my lord.
That's a very European style
Yeah.
gothic vocal.
Yeah, bad English.
And I think later into the Pulsing Feral Spire, you have like more singy type of vocals too. That is, I think you pulled it off really well too in that.
On Pulsing? So there's a part on In the Cunt of Chaos where Sardonyx sings a clean passage. I think that's on the last song.
Oh, okay. I was just like listening to all this plus his other bands too, so I guess it must have
Yeah.
blended in together.
Oh, one point I was going to say too is he kept on using that drum session for Cockroach Dominion and I think maybe one Destroy Humanity Now or something like that.
Yeah,
He kept on using he kept on using this session, and I was like, dude, it always sounds the same. Make it sound different or stop using it. So eventually I had a drum kit and I had him come over and just record a whole session of me fucking around, and he started using that for some of the When Bitter Spring Sleep stuff that he did after SAP.
And were you like already playing drums, or did you kind of learn along the way?
Yeah, so after Into the Cunt of Chaos, I picked up a kit and started learning. And then by the time Thy Foulness Come came around, about 3 years later, I was good enough to, fuck around on that. And that one, I was kind of also fucking around with like songwriting and helping him kind of figure out how to arrange. And Thy Foulness Come, I thought was maybe our best work because those songs we actually like wrote when we were both in the same room together, and I gave him suggestions on like how to arrange and how to harmonize and stuff like that. Whereas all this other stuff was just like laid out pretty simplistically, and then he would take it back to his studio and embellish it and kind of finish it all off without me like, giving my ideas to it.
Yeah,
I think
that
one's
one.
my favorite too.
Yeah, that one sounds very like even it's a great follow up because it's like even more aggressive, and just with those short 3 songs or 3 songs of this EP, it holds up right next to it. That's why I'm saying it's like such a consistent discography. But I think I'm coming around to pulsing Feral Spire. Just I think the drums on that one, you like, I don't know, man. You just like went miles above yourself with that performance. It sounds great.
On the drums?
Yeah.
Oh, you're crazy.
No, man, you're doing like way more intricate beats, and it sounds a little bit way more polished. Obviously, your best production or cleanest production.
All
for the
insists on the
project.
glaze.
One thing about Pulsing Feral Spire is you cannot hear my toms at all. It's all just like kicks, snares, and cymbals. So that's kind of a bummer. I was playing even more stuff on the toms than you can hear on the final mix.
Oh yeah, didn't know that a tom was played.
Yeah. We didn't really know how to mic drums. He just went over to the dude's house and he already had them all set up there. So that was kind of a learning curve album for us. But I don't know. Yeah, I always felt like we were consistently inspired to like be as wild and crazy and kind of bring as many different ideas as we possibly could and throw it all in and blend it together and see what happens.
And
Yeah,
I was gonna
it
say,
works.
I was gonna say like, Pagan Flame Productions. That's your label, right?
Sorta. So that's more Sardonyx's thing. So we really just started that to fund the CD release of Cunt of Chaos. It started out as blackmetaldvds.com, and so what we were doing is like we
God, I
learned how to
remember
burn.
I like that name better.
That was. I remember going on that site and seeing all the DVDs on there and be like, "Are these official?" I don't think so.
So kind of sometimes it depends on when you would have gone, but so we felt like we were one of the first people, at least that we knew of, to like transfer VHS to DVDs and burn them.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so and this was like 2003 around there or so. And so we originally just started selling on eBay, but people kept fucking spending like $100 on these old Mayhem bootlegs, which are now all on YouTube, of course. So we were like, shit, we got to take these things off of eBay and just like put them on a website. So we did that. And then we started being like, well, we're basically bootleggers. So how about we like try and get in touch with some of these guys and try and like get authorization to sell these things. And I shit you not, we had like Satyricon were on board, Watain were on board. We had a Cult of Azazel on board. We had a lot of like, it wasn't like official, but like they gave us, the go ahead and sell stuff under their name. And we would send them, yeah. We would send them money every once in a while for the proceeds. But then like labels started getting involved and they're like, hey, you can't be selling that shit. So
Hey, knock it off.
we wound up,
fuckface.
yeah, and we didn't want to get into a lawsuit or anything. So we wound up just like, you know what, let's just turn this into a label and stop selling DVDs and like make legit DVDs. So then that turned around to the point where like we were flying around to shows to film stuff and like actually press 1,000 DVDs and put those out there. But that like we weren't really ahead of the curve, I think, at the technology at that point. People were kind of like getting disinterested in DVDs by that time. So it kind of fizzled out pretty quickly, but I went and saw some pretty cool shows and we put out a couple of pretty cool DVDs, which we still have a shit ton of copies of. Luckily, it's not any of my financial endeavor. That shit would bury me.
I'll buy a couple.
They're cheap. The best one, really, like, I can't believe, like, more people didn't pick up on this. Have you ever heard of the Gathering of Shadows festivals? I don't know if you can really call it a fest, but shows. So, the dude from Nightbringer, before Nightbringer called it a day, I mean, this would have been 2006 or 7, something like that. He used to throw festivals out in the mountains of Colorado. And you would have, like, Demon Seed, Nightbringer, Nocmistium, Krieg, shit like that, all came out there for that. And so we went out there one time and filmed from fucking sundown to sun up. And released that on a DVD. So there was probably like 11 or 12 bands on that thing. The funny story about that one is the guys from Demon Seed drove up from Atlanta, which they were based out of at that time. So they drove from Atlanta to Colorado Springs and picked up dead animals all the way up there. And then
Roadkill.
on either side of the stage, on either side of the stage, they had these giant cauldrons that they brought with them, and they were burning dead animal roadkill for like 15 hours straight, and the smoke just like billowed down into the crowd. Yeah, it was horrendous. It was horrendous, and I was the cameraman for that, the whole fucking thing.
Was anybody like leaving or making faces?
I mean, it was dark. It was in the middle of the mountains. You could drink and go away if you wanted to, but not me because I had a fucking camera strapped to my shoulder.
I'm going away. It smells like burning animal carcass over here.
I mean, it's the most black metal mood I've ever fucking been a part of. You know, that was really fucking black metal of them to do that. But after
I hear a dying animal right now, actually.
Yeah,
Right.
burning them.
Yeah, burning the dog.
So Nightbringer, since they were like hosting the show, they were like, everybody gets to play before us. Where the headliners were playing last, and this fucking show went on until like Sunday morning, 9 a.m.
Oh,
Crimson Moon goes on at 9 a.m. I'm not even fucking kidding. Legion of Astaroth went on around like 5 p.m. before the sun went down, and then Crimson Moon is going on at 9. And by the time Crimson Moon went on, I was bored to tears. I don't think that band is worth fucking watching live. At least I didn't back then. And the smoke had just killed my mood. And we wound up I was like, fuck it. We're pulling the tent. We're going to put it in the back of the car. We're going to a fucking hotel. And this was like 45 minutes off of the nearest paved road even. So
Damn.
we wound up going back to the hotel, and this would have been like noon on a Sunday morning by the time we even found a hotel. And I was like, can I just sleep here for like 2 hours? And so they let us. After I slept like 2 hours, and then I just drove all the way back to Iowa. I had enough black metal. I had enough fucking dead animal smoke. But you can pick up that DVD for like $8.
All right. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, and it looks like your you guys' label was putting out a lot of stuff consistently. You guys are up to like 49 releases here.
Damn,
some
dude.
DVDs, but
Yeah.
you got some notable names on there too, like Panopticon, and let's see who else.
Yeah. Panopticon might have been kind of the nail in the coffin for like us trying to put out successful bands.
Well,
Like
there you go, Horn too.
Oh yeah, I brought Horn on. That album's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But the Panopticon release just sold out like in a day, and Sardonyx was not interested in going to the post office all that often. What he was mainly motivated to do, not by money, obviously the labels, black metal labels don't make any fucking money, but what he loved doing most was like boxing up one of every release and sending it off to some Russian label like Lido Takas or something, and then getting back trades of all this random shit. And that was super fun. That just exposed us to a ton of new stuff back then. So that was kind of like the driving force of the label for quite a while.
It's an idea. I think I might send my shit off to Russian labels. I never thought of that. Send my shit off to Canada.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, like that was the way back in, I don't know, 2005, 6, 7, 8 or so. I remember he traded a bunch of burned DVDs with Dark Horizon, and Dark Horizon would trade absolutely anything that was in his distro, and even I think some like used things that were in his collection. And Sardonyx traded burned DVDs for an LP of Obtained Enslavement's Witchcraft.
Damn.
And I was like, you only got one copy, you fucker?
you're supposed to get two, dude.
Yeah, get
That's
you
what
one too.
Yeah, but when I have traded with certain labels, I always make sure to get two. So three. Paul gets one, I get one, and then there's one in the store, so it looks good.
Yeah, it was like if you can't sell your own release, you might as well, diversify your chance of making a sale by having 10 different albums rather than 10 copies of one piece of shit you can't sell.
Yeah, it just looks good if you have something there. If you
Yeah.
got more there, yeah, it just looks good. It's like, oh, they're doing something, guys. Look in the background, nothing's moving and nothing's happening, but that's what
Yeah.
what happens.
They're making moves.
Yeah, they're making
so-
moves. That's what they think on the outside.
Cracking.
Exactly. Yeah.
In reality,
Look
it's
like
like
you're doing
what,
something.
4 sales.
Yeah. And so he would throw in Satan's Almighty Penis with a bunch of trades to get copies all over the place. And so I think that's why copies of this are kind of out there everywhere, especially in Europe. Like you can get this thing pretty easily over there. I don't think there's any copies out there, at least not on the metal detector in the U.S. anyways.
Yeah, I think I snagged one of the last ones. I guess from Pagan Flames itself. I just clicked the link on the YouTube video that happened to be your channel, and I just grabbed it, and I looked on the Bandcamp and it says sold out. I'm like, oh damn, gotta have a good time.
Yeah.
So I just grabbed the other 2 releases that weren't sold out today too. I was like, let me get them before it's too late.
That's gonna be quite a while probably.
But I guess we'll get into how'd you guys even come together? Was it just you knew them from the local scene, like seeing shows together, or were you guys like grow up, or how'd you guys get together?
So I had a job at a grocery store, and there was this kid that had like long hair, and around this time I would have been like 16 or so, and I was into like Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, shit like that, just whatever was on the radio. I grew up pretty poor, so I didn't really have a chance to like buy records or collect really much of anything. But so one night we wound up. So what we would do at this grocery store is we would recycle cans of bottles and beer stuff, but there were some that our distributor wouldn't take, so we had to take some of these recyclables over to the other grocery store across town and dump them off on them and get the money and bring it back to the grocery store. It was a shady thing. But so this one fateful night that changed my life, he drives us over to the other grocery store, and he puts on like Fear Factory. And I'm just like, what is this machinated robot fucking horror music? This is amazing. It really felt like I had dreamt up a kind of music, but I didn't know how to find it. And somehow, fatefully, it found me. But like I was an aggressive, new to atheism. I had super bad ADD. I was bouncing off the walls all the time, and this just sounded like the absolute chaos that I wanted to be listening to all the time. And so, of course, I was like, oh, let me give you a tape and you can dub this for me. And so that and Carcass and shit like that just really clicked with me right away.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Anyway, so
Fear Factory is sort of the, I guess, 2-sided coin of like extreme metal as well as like more industrial stuff and electronic music that you were also into at the time, right? Like, so it was kind of, I guess, introducing both of those sides.
I would say the Fear Factory flame burned out right away. Because, like, Demanufactured doesn't even hold up to this day. I would still maybe listen to their first album.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah. So I didn't really get into any electronic stuff through that, but yeah, the Fear Factory was like, this is great, what else you got? I moved on to like Carcass, At the Gates, and then like Dissection, Emperor, Abigor. The rest is history. But he was in a band with Sardonyx called Sanguis, and they had a demo tape out around that time. Of course, I bought that, and they had a show not too long after we like clicked and started hanging out. We just started like, after work, we would just drive around listening to metal, smoking cigarettes, and drinking soda, stuff like that. He would just play me all this stuff.
Cigarettes and soda.
Yeah. Back then, Surge had just come out, and it was like the most caffeine you could get in a soda. And we would buy like 5 bottles of it and just drive around, smoking cloves, listening to Abigor. And, like in Iowa, there isn't a whole lot to do. There's not a lot of shows going on. This is 95, 96, we're talking. So we would just go out to the baseball diamond, sit on the hood of the car, and blast Carcass and smoke cigarettes. Like that's all there is to do really back then.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So Sanguis
we're doing
played
something
like
similar.
right, yeah. I think Sanguis might have played like one show. There's not a lot of venues around here that'll let you play black metal more than once back then. So I went. The show was okay. I think they filmed it on VHS or something. But the funny thing is, Sardonyx thought I was the most annoying person he had ever met around that time period. But we just kept kind of running into each other. He had famous Halloween parties out in the country, and we'd have big bonfires and stuff. And of course, I'd like put on corpse paint and go to his things. And we just kind of stayed in touch. And eventually, you know, I heard this Satan's Almighty Penis demo that he had put out, and I was like, "Hey, you wanna get some vocals on that thing? How about I do it?" And just through making music, we became best friends. Eventually.
And he was like planning on releasing that instrumentally, right? Like he didn't have any sort of urge to try to emulate any like black metal vocals on that.
No, not really. I think he might have been like scared of hurting his voice or something.
And then he saw you. He's like, "Yep, confirmed. I don't want to do that."
Yeah. Let this fucking idiot do it. Yeah, so he did like an mp3.com CDRs that were just like by order kind of thing. He had a website way back in the day, like this is 98 or something, called evilproducts.com. And he would like come up with funny satanic messages to put on coffee mugs or like mouse pads and sell them on there. I can't imagine he had any sales on that really whatsoever. Like back then people didn't even like think about going to the internet to buy something like a coffee mug.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a funny novel idea to have like a website when there's no fucking point.
Ahead of the time.
Now you buy socks and undies online.
Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say ahead of the time with the black metal and the hustling game.
He kind of was like we were always like he's an engineer. He works in technology, and we've always just kind of like been fascinated with access to the internet and. I don't know. Back then, I was one of the first people on Napster that I knew of, sharing files. And when that went down, after that, there was something called Audio Galaxy. You can find the cultist fucking stuff on there on Audio Galaxy, even Napster actually. But discovered bands like Sado Goat on Audio Galaxy and shit like that. They were called Sado Mater back then.
Man, it looks like unless someone else has your moniker. But you added Sacramentary Abolishment to Metal Archives pretty early on, too.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Damn.
Yeah. So when I was 20 to age probably 30, I sat in front of the computer all fucking day listening to metal, finding out new metal, sitting online, chatting with people from all over the world, talking about metal, just being as involved with it as I could. So made a lot of friends that way, discovered a lot of obscure stuff that way. I never get tired of checking out new metal.
Nice. And
when
when
like
Napster,
Sadamator, Angel like them.
Yeah, they're fucking great.
And that's one of our favorite bands, Sacramentary Abolishment. Like, what do you think of that? Just coming out, around that time for you.
Shit is nuts. I think we may have heard Axis of Advance first, maybe. And those are pretty different things. I think Sacramentary is a lot more, I don't know, they got a lot more kind of styles and ideas going on, chunkier kind of stuff to them. But it's pretty extreme, especially for Canadian stuff. I just wish those albums were a little bit better produced. It's a fucking harsh tone to sit through for a whole album, you know?
I sort of wish the same thing.
Good. Good to hear. I recently checked out their demos. They're pretty good. quite a bit different from the debut, though.
Fred,
Yeah.
were you going to say something there? I thought I heard you chime in for a second.
I don't recall making a sound, but no, I was gonna say I could see that for Distracting Stone, but I just love the way River sounds. It's just enveloping darkness from start to finish. And I get how that might be like an exercise in patience for some people, but I wouldn't change a thing about River. But
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's sort of that.
I'm biased. I'm biased. That's my favorite Canadian black metal album. So
Well, you finally said it.
I've been
Yes.
saying that for a while, man.
Oh, I thought you said it could be.
Nah,
But
I think
I decided that.
I guess
think
it
I
is.
looked up Axis of Advance Strike on YouTube in the past few years because that Axis of Advance like has just become one of my favorite bands. Maybe in the past 3 to 4 years, something like that. And I think that's how I found the Brainsmasher channel because you were talking about Strike on something, and I heard the intro song. I was like, "Oh, that's on Animated Life Demise," and then I didn't. I think maybe you had that for like all your videos as the intro. I'm like, "Oh, I won't say anything because it's like they're all the intro." I was like, "Oh, dude, nice intro," but yeah, I was just looking for somebody to talk about that band because I wanted to hear somebody else's take. I thought they were cool.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of people know about Axis of Advance for some reason. They're all on Revenge is Nuts. And,
Yeah.
when I first heard Revenge, when they first came out with that 7-inch, I was blown the fuck away. But that burned out by the time they put out their full length. At one point, I was the official webmaster of Revenge when they first came out.
The webmaster.
Yeah. Like, I designed their webpage, I built all the HTML for it, I made graphics for it. I even got on, like, forums and asked people to mail me the pictures that they took from their tour, which they did.
Oh, you designed their webpage? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I did.
Wow,
This
it's kind of
would've
hard to
been-
find. I think the only way you can find it now is through like a wiki link or something.
Oh, it's way, way, way down. I took that down probably 2005 or something like that.
Okay, I know they have a website still up. Yeah, maybe it's like the official site. I'm not exactly sure.
And then you actually
It wa-
did like the layout and at least the artwork for Pulsing Feral Spire. Man, that's like just like some like especially the ladder. That artwork's just like so for me captivating for like a black metal album. You don't really ever see anything like that.
Yeah.
Looks like
Well,
a
so I didn't
graphic
do the
novel
cover.
or something. Oh no?
The cover, no, I didn't do the cover art. I just did the layout for everything. The booklet's like really extensive and it's got a ton of stuff in there.
Oh, okay, I got mine hopefully on the way soon.
So that cover artist is like a comic book artist named Jeff Zornow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, it looks exactly like a graphic novel or something.
Yeah. He's killer. He's done a lot of different releases.
Yeah, it's almost like Cannibal Corpse getting Vincent Locke or something.
The whole on Pulsing Feral Spire, the cover art is kind of an elaborate joke. I'm trying to think if I can even make it make sense. It's just like a joke that went way, way, way too far. So it's a minotaur in a labyrinth, and there are some like fables or tales about minotaurs and labyrinths and stuff. But actually, the joke is that someone was carrying like an old CRT monitor out of their apartment, and somebody like misspoke and said that it was a minotaur, and so we wanted to have this shirt that was kind of like a D&D reference, that would show like how to slay a minotaur, but that didn't wind up happening. We wound up just like putting it on the album cover, and I forgot about this. So yeah, on Pulsing Feral Spire, there actually is like kind of a skit where Sardonyx and I are actually like playing. It's called Labyrinth of Asterion. Yeah, like I play Asterion and he plays the Minotaur, and we actually just did like the voicing sound effect and like chains and like actual like battling. You could hear.
Just some like Foley on it.
Yeah, it turned out pretty fucking funny. I feel like if we hadn't already kind of like set the groundwork for anything goes with Satan's Almighty Penis, I think that would be a completely ridiculous thing to try and pull off. I love that we kind of like set the stage for Satan's Almighty Penis to be a catch-all for absolutely anything. Like every track is like really unexpected. You don't really know what's gonna be
Yeah,
coming.
it's so weird. Like each riff, it's at least from song to song, is completely different. Like I think the second song on Into the Cunt of Chaos, it sounds like a chimera of like a kind of at the gates like sort of Slaughter of the Soul riff with like black metal sort of inflection on it. It's like so weird. And then later with the EP, you guys started elongating your riffs, and
Yeah.
especially on the last album, you guys like have really long like I'm not too keen on like time signatures and all that, but they seem to be going on more than the standard 4/4 time.
Yeah, a couple of measures, or especially like, so we would just like write the rudimentary songs for Pulsing Feral Spire, and then like I said, we would record, and then he would go home and like add a lot of leads over it. So a lot of those leads are probably more long than something we would have rehearsed, without having like a second guitar player. So we always try to like flesh out those songs by adding a lot more guitar embellishments in the studio that make it more interesting. Because if you listen to like just the guitar and drums on both full lengths, it's kind of boring, if you ask me. So I asked Sardonyx today. I was like, "What bands would you say like influenced your guitar playing?"
Oh, that was my
around
next
that time?
question. I was gonna say, what's the influences?
So he said Possessed Creator, Holy Terror, Cradle of Filth, Bathory, and Solitude Eternus, which are all great bands, but I don't know if I would say like our stuff sounds at all like that.
Well, that's going to the discussion we had earlier with like he knew all these like early bands and developing his own sort of style from that rather than like
Yeah.
sort of emulating a certain style or a particular band like being like a worship project. It was just from all that sort of influence he came out with this project.
Oh, that came
Yeah.
from the gatekeeper discussion, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a lot older than me. He's about 9 years older than me. So like he would have been into Iron Maiden in high school when that stuff was coming out, and Possessed, he was right there when Seven Churches came out. And so he's definitely a more like old school influence than I am, or even was. But around that time of Into the Kind of Chaos, we were really starting to get into a lot of like the deeper levels of your second wave black metal, like Horna, Black Witchery, Inquisition, a lot of underground stuff coming out of Europe too. So I feel like those kind of things were more influential to our overall sound of the whole album. Whereas his guitar work, I'm not gonna refute what he's saying, Possessed and Creator and stuff. But also I remember back around that time he was really influenced by Tom Schultz from Boston, who had created the I can't remember. He had this guitar pedal that was like really unique and had a time. I can't remember what it's called. But Tom Schultz is like a professor at MIT, and he like came up with this brand new technology to invent this guitar pedal that had amazing delay on it, which you can hear on all the Boston albums. And he loved that delay in a black metal context. So I think you can kind of hear that on the first EP demo, Torn by the Shaft of Satan.
Yeah, and I
I
was gonna
think that kind of
mention-
like influenced some of the atmospherics of the guitars and how his guitar playing or like his tone kind of like rings out in a way.
And like speaking of like ringing out, like with that first like demo, there's like the song just like cut abruptly off, but on the album right after, what I really love is like the way you guys end songs. They just like the guitar just kind of like just going off, ringing, just chords
Yeah.
and shit like that. Like that shit's just awesome. Like everything
Yeah.
else falls out and it's just guitar noise going on.
Yeah, that's something. So I listened to the album a couple times yesterday and today, and I was thinking like we really did a good job of like fleshing out these couple of songs into like an album that had like a mysterious sort of air about it, and there's a lot of kind of extraneous noises and weird alien sounds going on to it, which I thought at the time that it was a lot more weird than I do now, and I don't really know what to do with that opinion. But I thought this was like I wanted to make the absolute craziest fucking black metal I've ever heard, and like now I don't really think it is, but it is pretty wild for the time period.
Yeah, I think in like it's technically I wouldn't say like symphonic, but you guys did have that like synth in there, especially on which track is it? I think it's the third from last, the seventh song. Is that your synthesizer going over like the guitar or the bass in that? Because I know it's mainly like a bass and vocal track that starts off the song.
Yeah, I mean that's my synth on the whole album. Like that's I have the weirdest synth. It's the Juno 60. Do you guys know the Locust?
Yeah, yeah.
That band?
Yep.
Love Locust.
Yeah, this is the same keyboard that the Locust uses. So it's not so much like a polyphonic sort of like a Korg synthesizer that adds like orchestral sounds. I definitely wasn't interested in adding that kind of thing to my black metal, like a Demi Borgir kind of thing. I wanted it to be like chaotic, sparkly, kind of crazy sounds. There's a couple of tracks too that are just like computer manipulated sounds, like the beginning of Tentacles of the Ancient Ones. That's got that kind of like creepy sort of. God, I don't really know what to call
Because
it.
that's like with the kind of vocal sample at the beginning of that, right? Or like the track before? Or do you mean like on the actual track?
On the track Tentacles, it starts off with this like super reverbed out sort of creaky sort of sounds, and that's just like an old mic stand. I'm just like we mic'd up a mic stand and like wriggled it around, and then I put it in some software and added a bunch of delay and stuff and made it crazy.
Yeah.
I was way into doing a lot of like sound manipulation and sample stuff on the computer. I did a couple of solo projects back then too that were super fucked up and weird. They're on my Bandcamp page. But yeah, I did a lot of like non-traditional like sound synthesis, I guess if you want to call it.
It's like
I would
almost
sample
like
the-
found sound, and then you just kind of manipulated that.
Totally, yeah. I've got an album called Clean Mountain that's just absolutely fucking nuts. Check that out if you're ever wanting to hear something out of this fucking world.
Right before I go to bed tonight, I'll check that out.
It's not, I would sample my squeaky office chair and turn it into a song. There was just a million different elements to that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know like Kanye, he like threatened to do an album that was like sampled from like African forest, but I don't think we saw the light of day of that, or that's
It's
all the
not
light
Jesus
of
is King, is it?
day. Not
Kanye
sure.
just threatening to do an album is bad enough.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
but this guy is already doing it with the office chairs.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're just lighting up.
But yeah, do you guys want to get into the album from right here?
I had one more thing.
Go for it.
If we can, can spare a minute.
Nope. Actually, no.
What the hell was I gonna say? Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
We're on a
I
strict
was gonna
schedule.
I was gonna mention I saw a clip. I don't know if it was recent or older, but I saw a YouTube channel that you did. I might have been with Ruthless Metal or something, where you guys were covering the Holy Terror album. Is that right?
Oh yeah, on Heavy Metallurgy, yeah.
What's the name of that channel?
Heavy Metallurgy.
Right. I don't know why I thought it was Ruthless Metal. Yeah, I wanted to get into that for a second because we really
sure.
didn't. I didn't talk about too much. Your YouTube presence. Do you, you're talking about getting in touch with like people around the world and just sort of making contacts and things.
Yeah.
Is that like is the YouTube thing sort of like an extension of that, or how exactly has that been? How's that just basically been going with reaching people and getting out there?
Really good. It's also really like opened me up to a lot more stuff. It's kind of wound up being a lot more work than I thought it would be, but I'm at the point where like I don't care. I'm doing whatever I want to do. but so like I had a zine way back in the day. I had a blog that nobody ever visited, and so I could never really get like things off the ground in a way that I felt like I was getting, any attention on what I was doing. So I don't know. I was like dormant with that sort of pursuit for many, many, many years, and then maybe around 2013, 14 or so. Marty, who does heavy metallurgy, and he also does bind room recordings. We were old friends from back in the '90s, and he just said, "Dude, I've been watching these YouTubers review metal, and I just love it. I can't stop it." So he sent me a couple of links to a couple of guys that were doing it, and like, have you guys heard of Count Blagarath?
Mhm.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
we've talked about
Okay.
Count Blagarath before.
Yeah, he was doing it, and he was watching him, and so he sent me a couple, and I was just like, "Oh God, I can't fucking stomach this shit." So like that was what motivated me to start doing it. I was like, I can't let these fucking kids be the ambassadors to my favorite thing. So
You
I'm
have
gonna
to
put
be
my
the ambassador.
right. I mean, until someone better than me comes along, I'm gonna start holding court. So that's what I started doing, and that's why I started doing videos. And yeah, I've made a lot of friends. I get recognized at shows, which is kind of funny. I was at that Metal Threat Fest last year, and if you watch, I think, any of my YouTube videos right now, it says like, "Welcome to Brainsmasher's masturbatory heavy metal collecting extravaganza" or something. And this kid from Mexico like runs up to me and like bear hugs me, and he's like, "I love masturbatory heavy metal collection videos." It's like, "Oh, you must, okay, you know who I am from now, okay." A little awkward.
You won. No,
That's the Mexican accent.
that's
I
your
love
grand.
you, Brain Smasher. I love you, Brain Smasher.
That's your grand prize.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
We never got a big hug. Well, we just started and nobody knows who we are. But yeah, it's because you don't upload weekly or anything, right? It seems like yours are a little bit more sparse in uploads.
Yeah, I don't do it as much as I used to. I also do a Patreon channel where I upload videos there, so it might seem like I'm less active, but I'm putting stuff on there for people to check out behind the paywall. I just got really sick of like feeling like I am getting so little out of this. And I felt like I wanted to have a place to put kind of different content and put more work into like editing, but I didn't want to be doing it for free.
Yeah.
And also, like at the height of my popularity of my channel, not that I'm like posthumously talking about it or anything, but like I was getting a lot of comments from people just complaining and like shitty opinions that I really don't give a fuck about. I have a hard time already like caring about any comments on my videos. It's meant to be kind of like a one-way communication. So here's the cool stuff that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
let me check it out.
Let me talk at you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
not
know if
really
this is
like trying to make best friends or anything. I have made a lot of friends on it, but I'm just trying to get people to listen to more obscure metal. One of my biggest annoyances, like when I first was getting into metal, like 96, 97 and all that, was like we had Pit Magazine, we had Metal Maniacs, and it felt like it was always just one of three bands on the cover. It was like Deicide, Sepultura, Cannibal Corpse, Behemoth, blah, 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 blah. And I just got so much of a thrill out of checking out bands that were beyond that level. And I've just never stopped digging. And you literally will die before you get to the end of this fucking shithole. So that's been my thing, just, trudging up the underground and telling people to check it out.
Yeah, I think when Paul came to me with this idea to do this, we were sort of in this place where we were thinking like, we've heard a lot, we've kind of heard enough, and to the point where like, what the hell is even good anymore? And Paul comes with this idea, and we're like, I feel like we maybe know stuff that's relatively not talked about, and that was something we were always looking for is. Reviewers or anybody really talking about the albums that we really like that just aren't getting attention, and so I think that was sort of the drive for us too. I guess with that, I know where I was going to go with this. You mentioned the negative comments and people giving you shit on YouTube and stuff. Weirdly enough, we haven't gotten any negative comments really, and nobody really is giving a shit. Everyone's kind of been
now you
very nice.
We will now.
Yeah, now you
it's
done
good.
it.
No, that's what I was gonna say. This is a call to arms. This is a call for people to come and attack
All right,
us.
people, bring us your shit. Bring it.
Bring us your shit. Yeah. Nobody's really bringing us any shit.
Don't be constructive. Just
Yes, exactly.
Destructive criticism.
Yes.
Destructive
but with that,
segregation.
It got pretty bad. Like I'm up into the like 7,000 subscribers.
right.
Now,
We only have like 300 or something.
I was on a pretty good pace there in the beginning. And I felt like I started out. It was just like my personal YouTube channel. It wasn't like, here's my videos for the public. It was just a place to put videos. I started out with like 100 friends or whatever on there. And I felt like having that 100 to start with like really helped me like gain speed and traction as I got more into doing it.
Yeah, we don't even know 100 people. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I forget exactly where I was going to go with this.
Come on, Dan.
Well, I guess I can just go with my next little inquiry. What were some of the negative responses that you would get?
Oh, it would be like, so I guess one thing that I learned doing YouTube is like, you can know your shit when you're by yourself and, you know, looking at metal archives or whatever. But when you turn a camera on yourself and you start talking about it, those facts can kind of get hard to access when you're more focused on like talking to someone and like, you know, you have this agenda that you want to get out. And so I would always get like fucking fact checked on something stupid. And it's like, we can all look this up. Metal Archives is always fucking there to look all this stuff up. There's not really much point to...
We're all in front of computers right now.
Right, yeah.
They're like, actually, Brainsmasher,
Actually, Brainsmasher Ben, fuck you.
Yeah. Dumb shit like that.
In
or
1994 in June, not 1993.
Right, yeah. Or like I kind of famously did this video calling out Peter Tatgren for his production sucking around the 98, 99 turn of the century
that production rules.
I really prefer his work like before Demi Borger's Death Called Armageddon.
Ben, your brain is smashed. You don't know.
Yeah, Ben brain.
I can't really recall any particular negative ones, but that video in particular just got so much hate. People just disagreeing with me. And like the production on those albums, like the Abyss Studios sound from like 2000 to 2005 is fine, but it's just perfectly generic, and every single album sounded exactly the same from that time period. And I got really tired of hearing bands that I thought had unique sounds just going in there and sounding totally cookie cutter. Like Immortal sounded great in Greg Holland Studios for their first couple of records, and then fucking At the Heart of Winter comes out and it sounds like every other goddamn thing that came out of Abyss Studios around that time period. And then they never quit recording there.
See, that's a masterpiece of an album. Here's my negative comment.
But look at Greg Holland. Like, I don't think any two albums that came out of Greg Holland sound very identical. No.
More catering towards the band style than, I guess, the studio that it's coming out of, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know where I was going to go with the with us having a low subscriber count and not
there we go.
Negative
Finally.
comments. Yeah,
he's back on track.
I remember what I was going to say. I think
we stalled long enough.
The train has re-railed.
Yeah, it's re-railed.
So he forgot
I was
again.
telling one of our guests off the air. I think that our video, our what we do, it's too long form. It's too long form to the point where like. It's only going to be a very specific amount of people that are going to give a shit. Maybe like 20 people.
Oh,
so
yeah.
in that case, yeah. So I think that's what's keeping us from reaching a bigger viewer point and also getting sort of like general feedback, which is, I don't really think it's a bad thing. I'm fine with that.
That's why we have part 1, part 2.
So you know where the bullshit ends and the like somewhat analysis begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. It is too long form, but I like the long form. It's cozy.
Yeah.
Feels like you're hanging
I'd be
out
lying
with
if I said I listened. I'd be lying if I said I listened to a lot of you guys' stuff. It's a lot of like. So I'll listen. I'll kind of dip in. I'll skip around and I hear a reference to an album. I'll be like, oh shit, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I need to check that out again.
Yeah,
it's
people
great
will
because all
comment
the
like,
people
"What was
who
that
would
band?"
criticize, all the people who criticize, it's so long that by the end of it, either they'll forget what we said that was wrong, or there's so much of it they'll never even get to us saying shit that's completely wrong. So we can say whatever we want, and
It's
we'll never get shit
basically
for it.
just a hangout on Monday for me, Paul, and Fred.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. And then with some vague direction about a particular album an hour in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You know what somebody requested? Somebody requested that I make a Telegram channel where I
gotta take a pee break for it, I
timestamp
guess.
every band that
Yep.
I mention or that we mention, it's so they can know what to look up.
Oh wow.
All right. Well, should we all just take a piss break?
I already peed.
You already peed.
All right, we'll be right back then for a break.
We'll be right back.
All right, we're back from our piss suspiciously shit break.
Shit.
These guys took a long time.
I had a
Kraken.
smoke.
Oh. All right, there you go. And we're back. I was
pissed up.
gonna publicly bring up the not the shit talk, but the excrement talk that Dan and Ben had, as Dan's always looking for an excrement fan, and I think he found him.
Yeah, he did the he did a bootleg. I didn't even realize. I was like, oh, I didn't know they had a fucking comp CD like that. He goes, no, I made it. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go to Kunaki and upload some files, and you can get this just like CDR with a 2-panel booklet sent to you. So I'll do that every once in a while. Basically, I wasn't even like crazy about excrement. I mean, I did discover it when I made this and listened to it, and it's great. But it was originally just the artwork that was on that T-shirt that somebody posted, and I don't think that artwork is even used on any of their material. So I was just like, I gotta have that on a CD cover, and I gotta check out this band. So, not a super old school fan of excrement, but it is good shit.
It is good shit.
Sorry,
Some
Dan.
of my favorite shit.
Keep looking, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
You'll
Looking
find
for
that
somebody who
soulmate
likes
one day.
excrement as much as me.
Yeah, you're gonna find the bandmate at the end.
You were talking about the Flesh Vortex. I think that'd be an interesting idea to try and make an Instagram slideshow about or something. Flesh Vortex album covers.
Yeah, because I even tried to ask Peter about that last time, because I know he has the CD, but he didn't have much to say about it. I'm like, oh, okay.
He wasn't. He
Many-
spared his words quite a bit.
Many such cases.
I
Many
do
such
love those
cases.
flesh vortices. Oh.
Yeah, that's Fred. He's getting off.
It's like
Me-
peak warm and fuzzy death metal.
Mute yourself, Fred. Come on.
Fleshlights.
Fred's like, oh. Yeah, I think the last thing I said before. Yeah, the last thing I said before Ben went, I gotta take a piss, and then took off, and then I'm like, okay, let's go on break. I was saying somebody requested that we make a Telegram channel, and I have to write down every band that is mentioned
That's
in
too
the
much
episode
work.
so they can check out.
Yeah, no. It's
But
Hell
I'm not
no.
going to do that. You're just
Yeah.
going to have to take. You're going to have to
Yeah.
get out your fucking notebook and a pencil and figure it out yourself.
Yeah,
whoever
your
you want.
response was straight. Yeah, get the cursive.
My response was,
Yeah.
get out your notebook and a pencil, dude.
To our listeners, don't make your lack of preparation our problem.
Yeah, I'm already in a lack of preparation. If nobody noticed, for the past month, I haven't had any
Yeah.
notes prepared.
Since episode 1, we noticed.
You had notes?
Oh, very good, Paul. oh. Like C-3PO said to R2-D2, don't get technical with me.
Yeah, well, like R2 said to C-3PO.
Very
Got him.
good. Yeah, I guess he got me there.
Fred got my
I
back.
think a lot of people
worst-
don't realize.
The worst fucking R2 impression ever.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that you can, if you know like the partial band name on Metal Archives, you can use the old asterisk trick, where you can put in like asterisk Topsy and find out all the Topsy bands that are on there, like Butt Topsy and Cunt Topsy and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like in place of any portion of the word. You can't just put in like I don't know, ABC asterisk ABC or whatever.
We'll put like asterisk Asian, and there's gonna be like a million bands.
Yeah. So like
There
sometimes
was
I'll
a-
see a band, like a live shot
Dark
where there's like a
asterisk.
shirt. There you go. Yeah. What band was? Oh, it was Pathology. I could only tell like HOGY or whatever, or something like that. So I put that in and looked through all of them until I found a logo that matched up, and I discovered Pathology.
I see. There was a great line that the death metal guy from Terminus said when they reviewed the the new Cephalotripsy album. He said,
Ooh, that sucks.
"She sepped on my hollow till I was tripsy." I thought that was pretty good.
It's colorful.
But I digress.
Let's all digress.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Why
Yeah.
are we here? Because I picked an album, and we just so happened to find the
is-
guy.
I found the guy.
Yeah.
I found the
Put your
guy.
reputation
hard-
on the line.
He was
to
on the
talk
internet.
about Sep.
It was hard to find. He tagged me in a thing. He's like, "Hey, fucking, you should cover Vehement." What was the name of that band?
Vehement
Thrower. Yeah, but I think it was the band Vehemence or something. But it was the same band. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I do know what this is." But whatever.
Yeah, before Thrower, they were just called Vehement.
Hmm.
Okay, is that the album Born where they had the baby on it or something?
Yeah.
All right, that was new to me. I don't know which one of you brought it to my attention, if it was Fred or Paul, but
I think it was you.
me?
Yeah, you brought it up to our attention.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you
No,
did.
I never did.
Yes.
I think
I
it was
did?
me.
No. I knew Vehement Thrower
Oh.
from that.
Oh, it must have been
But I
me
think-
then.
Oh, okay.
I think it was you. You're like, I want to cover this at some point. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Thrower's good, but like Vehement
that's
is
my
like
Paul impression.
symphonic Polish death metal.
And yeah, I dug around the internet. I found the Brainsmasher himself, who happened to do vocals for this album, and we got him on. This is our
No shit.
our second.
Did we?
Our second.
No fucking way.
Second episode of having the person that's actually made the album participating in our discussion, or whatever you call this part.
What? Who was the first?
Alex, Horde of Worms.
Horde of
You
Worms.
You guys should
Never
do.
happened.
You guys should do some part in that. It can't just be me every time.
I can. Yeah, you did do it twice already. I can probably get Hesh. What's his name? Not Hesh.
No, that's too
Yep.
easy.
No, the other guy. What's his name? Nick. Haunting
No,
Presence.
no,
That's what I can do. No
Like-
Haunting Presence.
Mm-mm. No, just kidding.
what? What do you mean? Mm-mm.
All right. Anyway,
Very good. Very good.
so I found this album by the moniker a while ago, and it was always just one that was in the back of my mind. And then within the last 2 years, it came up back to the surface. Checked it out, and I'm like, this is actually some of the most incredible black metal that I've heard, or at least most unique black metal that I've heard, especially from the Thousands on, coming out 2004. And I showed Dan, he's like, eh. I show Fred, he's like, oh yeah, I have this album since I was born, and I was like, oh damn,
No,
sick.
more specifically, you showed me the recent album.
Oh,
and
which
I
is
was like,
which is
eh.
growing on me better.
Right. Because the first thing I ever heard, I think, was the demo, the '99 demo,
Mm-hmm.
and it scared me. Like
it
Brainsmasher
should.
said, the name is scary. It's intimidating, and it is. It is very intimidating.
It's up there with the goat penis. You don't want to click that.
Exactly. You don't want to
Right.
Google
Yeah.
goat penis or Satan's almighty penis or that's how.
Not
it
on
goes.
your work computer.
That's which I was doing all day. I was just listening to this album on YouTube on my work computer.
Right.
There you go.
But yeah. Anyway, I bought this album, and I was like, yeah, this is crawling up. This is gonna be one of the albums I'm gonna pick, and it just so happens to be on the tail end of
I'm gonna pick it.
just so happens to be on the tail end of our black metal
Symphonic
Block.
black metal way. Yeah.
that
This
we've
isn't
had.
quite- Is this symphonic? I don't even know.
It has synthesizer on it.
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that fits in with what we've done in the past month because all the albums that we've done are black metal with a tiny bit of synth. So I think that works, right?
I wouldn't categorize just because it has synthesizer on it doesn't mean it's symphonic.
No.
Symphonic adjacent, or there's a little bit of symphony in there, just a bit.
Synthesizer black metal. How about that?
Fine. That's fine. That's fine with me.
And
I guess we
how
were
would-
going for like space black metal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you categorize it as being a part of the band?
I guess like outer space black metal is what we were really going for. Astral
Outer space
black metal. Yeah. I wanted to go for
Psychedelic black
something
metal.
like as out there as like Oxyplagat's Sidereal Journey was a big influence on us, but also we were influenced by shit like Black Witchery, Horna, stuff like that. So
You know, it's funny. Like, I wouldn't have like the idea of space cosmic black metal didn't occur to me, but like hearing it, it makes sense. I kind of get it now.
I think Opus 4 by Abigor has got a lot of like astral sort of atmosphere to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I find that one's really overlooked. People don't tend to talk about that one very much.
Yeah, that's the one.
And
And then
I'll-
especially like after channeling they did Satanized. It's kind of like an album, but totally spacey.
Oh yeah, no, I find that one's aged better than I thought it would.
Mhm.
But I find the one that seems to be the most polarizing is Supreme Immortal Art, but that's one of my favorites too. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an end of an era. It's the end of the era for like one of my favorite bands for me. I kind of go back and forth. It's kind of Emperor-ish in some ways. Anyways, we're talking about seeing somebody's penis, right? I gotta get going to bed here in a bit.
Oh shit.
I was gonna
All
say,
right, speed it up.
yep. What are your guys' introductions to this, Fred and Dan?
Oh, I don't.
Well, like I
ever
said,
remember
I
how
discovered
first
Yeah,
heard
Fred's
this.
going.
Discover the demo. Oh yeah,
calm
go
down,
ahead, Fred.
Calm down.
Sorry.
All that to say, I don't remember. Like, I don't remember when I got this, but I think
Very
I
good.
think the Canadian label Suffering Jesus had it in stock, and I ordered it. And
yeah.
you know, it's a lot like Ben said. The name really is like a gate, and it's like, is this going to be an actual album, or is this going to be goofy shit? And I kind of just went for it to see what the result would be, and I was surprised that it didn't suck. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that, like you said, with the name and the album title, kind of make it could go either way, right? And it's
Right.
it went the right way, which I'm happy to hear. That's kind of how I came across it. I'd seen it in distro lists for a couple of years, and then eventually curiosity just got the better of me, and I just got it. And here I am, like, what, 20 years later?
Yeah. Like if it was a total joke, you probably would have not heard about it after the first time.
Would have saw a music video and been like, oh, okay.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, it's easy to get deterred by the name, especially in black metal, right? Because there's such a, I don't know if stigma is the right word, but like if black metal doesn't have just the right aesthetic or just the right kind of titles, people are like, no, it's not gonna work. Nope. And it's weird because it's like just the smallest thing can like just like set people off. It's not really the same way in death or thrash. It can be a bit more zany and people are okay with it. But black metal, if it's not black metal the way black metal's supposed to be, they're like, nope, screw it.
Oh no. To the no,
know,
no.
And I remember that's very much the impression I got when this was floating around. It was people were afraid to go near it because they didn't know if the real black metal, you know, like they get some sort of disease by listening to it. But like no, like when you get past the band name and you actually listen to it, it's fucking solid. And there's some weird shit on here that you don't hear too often. And like my song pick is actually the Bathory cover, "Crawl to Your Cross," just because A, I think it's really well done, and B, of all the Bathory songs, that's such a unique one to pick.
Yeah, you're right.
There's, I mean, Equiman Thorn's been done to death at this point.
Yeah.
But like of all the Bathory songs that you could possibly pick to cover, this one's so out of left field, and it's such an awesome song, and it's such an awesome rendition of it that I thought it'd be a lot of fun to listen to. So yeah, no, it's if there's anyone who's still listening thinking, oh, I don't know if I can get behind a band that has a bit of a goofy name like that, like, fuck it, listen to it, and well, you're gonna hear it soon.
Yeah, you're listening to a podcast
Yeah.
called Bunsen
You're gonna-
Burner Recordings.
Yeah. check your expectations at the door.
Right.
No, like it's a great album that I think it's overlooked for that reason, but I think that's also, from what you said, kind of by design too. So applaud on that. It your intent was executed perfectly, and that was the exact result.
I didn't name the band, but it is definitely an aesthetic that
No,
I
I
got
meant
on
like
board
you
with.
as in the band in general, but no, I got
Oh
it.
yeah.
All right, Danny boy, your time to speak.
I think
I'll allow it now.
sometime in early high school, I was on Metal Archives either looking up the word Satan or penis, and I found Satan's Almighty Penis.
Same.
You were looking at penis.
I might have been looking up penis on Metal
I
Archives.
was looking up Almighty.
You just Googled it. You didn't even, wasn't
Yeah,
even,
right,
wasn't
right,
even on
right.
Metal Archives.
Okay, all right. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay. But yeah, I think the only thing I had really heard from you guys was the demo. And I remember thinking it struck me as very like industrial and mechanicalized sounding, which is very not off-putting, but I think at the time I just wasn't used to stuff like that, and so it was like very just extreme. And coming back to, I did listen to everything that you guys had. Coming back to it,
goody.
yeah, it's really interesting stuff, and I really like the time changes and all that. I wasn't aware of the drum programming stuff that was going on, so that kind of just makes things a little bit more interesting. But guitar riff wise and vocal wise, everything is super standout, I think, for anybody. But I can get more into that once we hear a little bit of a sample and can discuss more.
And I guess we'll just say, Ben, how'd you feel, and what'd you think when you finally were, done and released with this album? Like, what was your perception on that?
I thought we did a pretty good job given the circumstances. I think Star on Ice was pretty inspired riff-wise, so he was able to turn that, hour and a half long drum track into pretty much 5 songs pretty quickly. And the period so I recorded vocals on each track, separate sessions, and I had to wait probably like 2 weeks for my voice to recover between each song, so it wasn't like I went in and banged out.
Yeah, you said they
several
would.
songs.
You said they would bleed right after you're done, pretty much on some of them.
So we were kind of like writing and recording throughout the whole process. So I would come over. He would be like, "I got another song done. You want to do it?" I'd come over and we'd do it. So it probably took us maybe like 3 months or so to write and record, but a really different process for banging out an album than I think most people are used to.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty unorthodox. And like, given that the process from this album was so different from how it was when I was the drummer, I think we had such a pretty unique style that I think that synergy between the 2 releases is pretty strong. Feels weird taking credit for that, but yeah.
I just want to bring up that Fred sort of, he was inching towards the notion that I Googled the word penis and I somehow found Satan's almighty
No,
penis.
Satan's penis.
It was actually Bing, right?
Very good. Bing, duck, duck, go. Okay, all right. GoDaddy.com or whatever. Yeah, very good, Fred. I think you got me.
Can't come back from that one.
There's no coming back from that. I don't know if you noticed, Ben, but I think this is my last time being on the show. I don't think I'm coming back after this.
Dan went into the Cunt of Chaos.
We're gonna place you with an AI co-host.
Yeah, that would be fun. I'd like to hear an AI version of myself, kind of like Terminus. They did a good job. He's like,
gonna be
oh,
the-
dude.
It's gonna be the Fred and Paul show.
The Fred and Paul show. Yeah, I'll pull an Aldo. But Aldo came back. The king reclaims his throne.
Yeah, I saw that. It's funny.
Yeah,
But
I was actually there for that one. Blistering Rod. I think that was like members of Skeletal Remains. Cool guys. They were glazing Galicia. So how do you like that?
I'll listen.
Ooh.
So anyway, we're gonna get into the tracks. I believe Ben picked the first one. It's gonna be Perishing Jehovah, the third one, and we'll be right back. back from that third track, and I'll just
Perishing
say,
Jehovah.
yeah, I'll just say again that outro with the guitars just ringing out for, I believe it's like under a minute. It's just like adds the perfect atmosphere without having to sit through like a 5-6 minute intro before the track starts. It's like, yeah, why don't you just put it at the end? It's awesome, and it leads right into the next tracks. Like I believe the intro of the third or the outro of the second track led right into the third, so it just made it more of a seamless experience.
And it even kind of echoes the first track, which I think is kind of too long of an intro to the album, but I think it does sound pretty cool.
I always thought of those first two tracks as just being one. Like I thought it was just a huge 7-minute track, but
Yeah, kind of.
but then listening online, I'm like, oh yep, they're separated, but it didn't feel like forced in any way to enter the album this way, and going right into that stark different riff of like just made it even more rewarding to get to that point.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think of that third track, Dan and Fred? Not all at once.
I'll let Dan go first this time.
Yeah, that first part that comes in, it's got a really weird sound. It's like a kind of epic, happy sounding death thrash riff or something, where it's like.
It sounds like it would be like a bridge in like a power metal song or something.
Yeah, maybe in like an 80s like Metal Massacre song like Omen or something like that. But I was thinking like Fatal from Detroit, if you guys know that band. It reminds me of something they would do. And it's interesting that Paul brings that power metal thing up, because I think Fatal and Deceased, I forget exactly which Deceased album, maybe it's like the Blueprints for Madness or something. But those two bands, as far as like death metal bands go, it's probably the closest that a death metal band will go with power metal, like a straight up kind of power metal riff. So that's kind of what that reminded me of too. And also, to bring this up again, it does sound like something Excrement would do. It's like the first song on the first demo does have a riff like that. Flesh and Blood, I think, or Dreaming and Dead or something like that. And then, Paul's making these noises. This is the me punching bag episode, I guess. But yeah, you guys mentioned Portal on some of those faster, like
dissonant leads.
Like soup. Yeah. In that sense, I guess this is really ahead of its time with doing things like that. And there was something else. I don't know if this is a group of bands, or a sound that comes out a little bit later. It almost has this like psychedelic kind of sound, like the earlier Black Twilight Circle bands would do, like the Tarkaria stuff or Rhinoceros, if you guys have ever heard that. It's driving just the way this is, and it's kind of just as weird. One thing that I do really like about all these songs, and the way that the riffs change into each other, is not even the riffs. Like midway through riff, you're going to get a lot of unexpected chord changes, and I think that's something that makes this really unique. Is just how weird the riffs are in that sense. Like it does a lot of things you just wouldn't expect, and that's very cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Fredward?
Yeah, I think Dan kind of summarized it, but that middle, I guess it was middle towards the end part, really made me think of Portal. I'm not necessarily saying that Portal was a direct influence on it, unless it was. But
well, we got the guy here.
Yeah, but it's just that weird sound where it almost has a feeling like the music is surging, and the way the drums are recorded with the sampling kind of adds to it too, and it almost feels like you're listening to a song being played backwards, and that's a feeling I get while listening to Portal, and that doesn't happen with many bands, but that's the feeling I get listening to this kind of track on the album. So It's an unsettling kind of feeling. It feels unnatural in a good way.
Yeah, it's kind of like nerve-wracking in a way.
Yeah, and that's what you want in black metal, right? If it's not putting you on the edge of your seat, they're not doing it right. So, no, it's
right.
Yeah, no, like in a time when black metal kind of started becoming pretty mundane. I mean, 2004 is when Dark Throne was sounding like Dark Throne rather than being Dark Throne, if that makes any sense. Things were getting kind of stagnant, so hearing a band that's able to make you still feel unsettled this far into the second wave is... It doesn't happen often, so it's really cool.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, this is basically a USBM band. Like, and to go further into my point, it's like we're reaching as far as, like, Portal to bring across similarities to what this band's doing guitar-wise and just song-wise as well. It's like I can't think of a single band that encapsulates what that song or any song on this album does, or any song on this discography, honestly. And it's going to be more reaching back into sort of originator bands and filtering that style into the guitarist's own style, which is not something that you get a lot in bands, especially in black metal bands.
Right.
And it's just like such a treat to hear. And if you haven't heard this or anything from Satan's Almighty Penis, you're missing out. Suck that shit.
It's definitely a way. It's definitely a way forward for bands that are kind of stuck in a rut,
And in
or
04,
for like whole
and,
scenes that are stuck in sounding mundane, like Fred said.
Yeah, in 04, and then going back as far as like 99. Like, I think a year or two before that was Sacramentary Abolishment. And, to have this come in a contemporary sense, it's sort of uncanny.
Yeah.
Like the unlimited amount of ideas that are allowed here, it really helps with not just dissonance but interest in this band.
Yeah, because there's a ton of styles just throughout that song, and you're gonna hear a million more.
And like Ben said earlier, he's like, I think he said the guitarist was mainly influenced by like Creator and Possessed and late '80s things. I with that very first riff, you totally get a feel of that, because I was comparing that to like Fatal and Deceased, who were very much influenced by the same thing and sort of kept that as their sound. And I think that's I don't know if it's an important sound for this band in particular, but for this song, I think it's just a real standout.
Oh, and I'll just say this: this is the first time in 74 episodes that Fred didn't say that this first track sucked. So I mean that says everything.
Oh damn!
You forgot. You might have to say.
Is it too late now?
Sucks.
Yeah, it's too late. I pointed it out.
Fuck.
Yeah, it didn't suck, right? You're welcome.
You were just so ensorcelled by the whirlwind of chaos that Perishing Jehovah presented to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred's catchphrase didn't even come into mind. He didn't think, okay, I'm going to say this sucks.
Nope. But with that, you have any sort of insight with this song, or you have any thoughts that you want to give us about it? This was your pick, Ben.
Yeah.
How far off are we? How far off base are we?
I loved Portal when I first heard them, but I think that would have been after we were done recording this thing. So, incidental
Sorry, Portal.
similarity.
And I think I'm not musically inclined whatsoever. Like, I cannot tell a guitar from a spoon. And like when I describe what I hear in music, the only way I can really do it is by comparing it to other bands I know. So bear that in mind. I'm not saying that there's a direct influence between one or the other, especially because I know Portal mostly started doing their getting their attention afterwards. It's just like, if I'm trying to tell people what a band sounds like or feels like, I give the best examples I can, not trying to draw any direct lines between them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
no, I
we
do
were
the
just
same
saying they're a
thing,
little
exactly.
bit ahead of their time.
Yeah, and I love that when you can think of some like very specific reference and it totally makes sense. It's like almost better than just describing it using your own words. But then I also don't know if I feel comfortable saying we're like second wave black metal. I feel like we were at the cusp of like turn of the century, kind of a new era, breaking out of that kind of thing. I don't know if I'd quite say there's like a third wave or whatever, but kind of second wave, I guess I'd be comfortable with more. But yeah, this song, I don't really know how it came together, you know, riff wise, music wise, or whatever. One funny thing I was thinking was, we're trying to like, you know, evoke space and portals and chaos and black holes and stuff, but my lyrics on this song are just fuck God, hail Satan, and shit like that. So I really didn't have a very solid grasp on what my direction was going to be. Cool track. I like the crazy synth work on it. I was just like learning how to record with my synth around this time, and Saronics was obsessed with my synth. I still have it. In fact, I'm performing with it here in a couple of weeks at a noise show with it. So yeah, it's been my my right hand man for making music for a long time.
There you go. And Fred, who is infamous for not liking covers, especially in the middle of albums, happened to pick the cover that's in the middle of this album. So let's go into that.
Already.
It's gonna be "Crawl to Your Cross" Bathory, and we'll be right back. right, and we're back from that Bathory song. The cover from SAP. And Fred, why'd you pick this one?
Because normally I hate covers in the middle of an album.
You like this one?
I do. And I'll tell you why. So the reason I hate covers in the middle of an album is
Why, Fred?
because often the band that is recording the cover, it doesn't do a very good job of picking one that fits in seamlessly with the album. And they wind up trying to record it in such a way that is closer to the original. And then it just winds up taking you out of the flow of the album. This, while it's faithful to the original, it maintains the sound of the album, and it's almost reinterpreted through an SAP lens. And so the vocals, although I know Ben said feels they were very off, I think that they actually nail Quorthon pretty well. Sure, the tone's a bit different. Obviously, the performance is not going to be identical, but it reverberates the way Quorthon intended it to. The drumming gives it like a almost industrial edge, which is not something I've ever said when describing Bathory.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time,
Pagan
that drum
industrial.
sound makes it sound like Requiem. Like, it makes that song from whatever, I'm presuming it was leftover material from Bloodfire Death, and sound like it got recorded for Requiem with that really like nasty drum sound on that. So I mean, all that aside, this is still a Bathory song, but because it's done so well through the lens of SAP on this album, it fits in well, and it doesn't take you out of what the album was trying to do to begin with. So when it comes to covers being recorded in the middle of an album, that is what I would want to see, and that's what it was done well here. So that's why I picked this one.
I think we accidentally did a good job on that.
Well, whether it was accidental or not, you know what? Obituary, like, for all intents and purposes, recorded an excellent cover of Celtic Frost right in the middle of Cause of Death. And I fucking hate it because every time I hear it, I'm like, this is Celtic Frost, it's not Obituary. And it just takes me right out of the flow of the album.
I agree so much on your take on that. That shouldn't do it, doesn't belong there. Put it at the end or on something else. I don't know why we did it this way, but I do.
But again,
now that I
don't know why you did that way, but as far as I'm concerned, it worked. And it's one of the few instances where it doesn't bother me. So congrats in that sense.
Yeah, from if anything, I like my 2 cents is like it just felt like, oh damn, you guys are getting more visceral right here, but then come to find out it's actually a Bathory cover upon repeat listens, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, that makes it even more interesting.
Oh, and also we mentioned while we were listening to it, I love the fact that you picked Crawl to Your Cross as a Bathory song to cover, because there are so many Bathory songs that are covered to death over and over again, and this is not one of them. So hearing this Bathory song being reinterpreted for once, because I can't think of any other cover of this one, awesome.
Yeah, I looked it up and there are none.
Yeah.
It also works. I think the album kind of needs like an intermission, and I think it works as a nice kind of bookend to like the fast songs, and then it kind of leads way into these 3 kind of longer songs for the back end.
Dan, you got anything to say?
Yes. Give me 1 second. I gotta light up.
Oh my god. Why are we always waiting for Dan?
Okay.
I'm pooping.
Very good, whoever said that. I assume that's Ben because I've never heard that voice before.
Who did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who did that?
I don't know, guys.
Yeah, but I had never actually heard this Bathory song before. I didn't know it existed. So, my favorite stuff from Bathory is actually from Bloodfire Death. I don't know if that's a normal take or a retard take, but yeah, because I'm a hermit. I don't know what people are saying. I never find out. Yeah, my favorite tracks are like Golden Walls of Heaven and Holocaust. Those are fucking incredible. Those are some of the first tracks I ever heard from Bathory, and the fact that this cover song comes out right after this album, I think, right, 1989. It's an
Yeah.
interesting one. It, yeah, at first I really didn't realize it was a cover, and it sounded something like Japanese punk. It sounded like Ghoul or like what's that other Japanese band? Maybe I'm thinking of the Shitlickers or something.
SOB.
Maybe. I was, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I was thinking of Ghoul and maybe like some Swedish stuff like Black Uniforms or something. But yeah, this totally works as like an intermission for the album. And one thing that I wanted to point out too was the vocals that we talked about it a bit, but I didn't mention that I actually saw the Satan's Almighty Penis vocal take that you did on your channel like 10 years
Oh, yeah.
ago or
Yeah, been meaning to
7
check
years
that
ago
out.
or something like that. Yeah, that's something that also pertains to the psychedelic black metal idea that I was talking about. Like that band Cirrus, who I mentioned from Portland. It seems like a lot of bands in the like mid 2000s kind of had this hardcore punk sort of approach, and it was this shouting kind of vocal style. The the vocal style on this album really doesn't remind me of either. People like to say it sounds desolate, it sounds desperate, it sounds like commanding. The lyrics or the vocals on Satan's Almighty Penis, they just sound kind of maniacal. They sound like a crazy
Yeah.
person just yelling, and I think that's a really great addition to this song too. The kind of
Yeah.
simplistic punk sounding riffs with with kind of the black metal feel to it, and I guess that just kind of adds to the fact that I didn't even know this is a cover, and or the fact that I've never really heard the original song from this. But you can tell it's Bathory. It's got the kind of like hammer on, like Motorhead ish things, but with really primitive sounding drums. So it's cool. My main point is it's very cool.
Glad you liked it.
Very cool. Well, with that, I think we're going to get into the second half of the album. Why not start from Burial into Tentacles of the Ancient Ones? It's going to be a long one, so buckle up for your tentacles. We'll be right back.
Put them in place.
Alright, we're back from, it's been an hour. Tentacles of the Ancient Ones. I'll say it again. What a
Yeah.
fucking track. This
Thank
was
you very much.
obviously my pick. Made you guys sit through that.
The epic Doom track.
The epic one riff song. And I can hear that. They need to make like a 10-hour edition of this. And I'll sit through this for 10 hours.
I'll see what I can do.
But yeah, what do you guys think of this? I obviously love it. Dan and Fred.
Yeah, it was a total
The-
standout for me too.
Yeah, the calm. I'm gonna say clean guitars. You guys can correct me if I'm musical listening is
you
far
can-
off.
It'd be calm
Or-
guitars.
Yeah, it's such a weird juxtaposition between the horror of everything else that's going on, and I really like the way that's done. And the vocals are definitely a standout on this. They're just creepy as shit. It's great. And the sound of the tentacles at the beginning, I enjoyed the story behind how they came about, and it's funny how it's like that takes a lot of I guess insight to see how that kind of sound could be reinterpreted as what you want it to be. I guess we didn't record how that was done, was it? He said it was a mic stand that had these little metallic.
Fred, what are you talking about? Just kidding.
So you're just making shit up now. But like, yeah, no, that's cool. I enjoyed the story of how those sounds came about because they do give the impression of tentacles slithering and working their way around things. So yeah, that was really cool.
Dan, if you can give us that story, Ben.
Also, Kraken.
Yeah, so we were getting ready to record vocals for that song, and Starlight said, I just kind of want something to give an intro to this song. And I just kind of looked around, and there was like this 12-foot or 12-inch mic stand sitting there, and it had like this flexy sort of metallic coil thing to it. And I just started kind of moving it around, and I was like, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to record this and see what we can come up with. And we did that, added some reverb, sounded really cool. And then it kind of needed some more to it, so I just grabbed a plastic bag and just kind of wrinkled it in front of the microphone and got this little sample and chopped it up and added some reverb and delay between all the samples and just kind of stretched it out and fucked with it a little bit. And okay, that's really all it was. It took me probably an hour to make that intro to the track.
Yeah, and even the outro, you said it was a bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah. I mean, that one's not even butchered at all, really. It just sounds exactly like a bowl of spaghetti. I don't really know why it made its way onto the album.
Satan's Almighty Penis, the first ASMR black metal.
Yeah, more like just wet, splooshy, muddy sort of sounds.
Yeah, that was
I
great.
think we're throwing a lot of things in the mix to make it surprising. I don't think anybody else had the balls to throw a bowl of spaghetti or a bowl of spaghetti on a black metal album at that time.
Yeah, now I'm on spaghetti.
But like the thing is, you wouldn't know it's a bowl of spaghetti by listening to it, and after the context of the track, very much sounds like tentacles swishing their way through liquid, right? So I mean,
Right. I'm totally demystifying a lot of things here.
It's all right.
Acid swishes.
If they made it this far, they can get some. They can get behind the curtain.
No.
But I'll say like
Nice
this track,
Brovanitu reference there.
this
Yes, I love that band.
this
Oh
track.
right, Pagan Flames released one of their albums, didn't they?
Freddy.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Menstrual extraction ceremony,
Amazing, love it.
which is
I
now
like-
legal here in Iowa.
I was gonna say about that
Sorry,
track.
Paul. Go on.
That track, it's like, yeah, it's the same riff. It can be played in a slower, I guess, rhythm, and then bringing it back up to like a tremolo rhythm of it, and then having leads over it, the clean guitar, the different vocal styles over it, the clean vocals, spoken word, and then just going into this incredible death growl that we've only got glimpses of during the first half of the album, that just like really sells this. It's like, yeah, sure, you're listening to just one riff in a black metal song, but I mean, I'm sure you've done that for a ton of Norwegian bands as well, and they're just like breathing new life into this. And like, speaking of something breathing, all these aspects make this track feel so alive, even though it's just some sort of single-celled organism. It has a bunch of branches and things stemming off of it that that breeds, you know, or that warrants more time into the track. You know, I never get bored, or I'm solely entertained by this track. Like, if this album was just the single, I would be happy with it either way.
But there's even more to offer on this thing.
Danny, you've been quiet. Nervous?
Yes. I'll say
Yes.
I'll say rule number 1 for Dexter is don't get caught, but rule number 1 for the BBR podcast is don't apologize to Paul ever.
Who apologized to me? I didn't hear that.
Fred's like, sorry.
It was
Yeah,
a
that-
sarcastic apology, if that helps.
Yes, well, everything is sarcastic, I suppose, here. But yeah, yeah. I like Paul's take on the one riff thing, kind of moving along and doing a lot of different things. I like that the chords sort of can just bring about a lot of different atmospheres. But the main part of this that I think, Ben, you were saying is probably the closest to Solitude Eternus. It reminded me of a later band. You guys all probably know Pissgrave.
Mhm.
They did a demo 2015. Track 5, Rusted Wind. It ends in this giant, like, just atmospheric doom part that is pretty reminiscent to this. I think that's kind of the thing when it comes to certain albums that we cover that are a little bit older. I know this one is sort of newer than we would usually expect, but it is so much more. I think it just comes across as being ahead of its time a little bit, and so I think the Pissgrave comparison is kind of an okay thing, just because I think that nowadays melodic death metal and just melodicism in black and death metal is like becoming more prominent, and yeah, I think Satan's Almighty Penis has kind of nailed not just this sound, but a lot of things that have sort of come into fruition, like the psychedelic black metal sound and the like slow melodic thing and the chaotic kind of emphasis on things. And also, I think the fact of the weird kind of drum samples that are not exactly staying in tempo, I think that helps. I think that's a plus. Yeah.
And I'll say, like, with just the one solid riff that's repeating for over 10 minutes, just within that section of the song, it's like it turns into such an unexpected place. It starts off with like just really epic chords, you know, that Solitude Eternus sort of sound, and then it just takes a total downward spiral into some like ugly ass, I don't even know, like it sounds almost like what sludge would want to be.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Sludge. Why don't you be Sludge, bitch?
But Ben, why don't you you know, give us some thoughts on this song? What do you think about it? You said it was a turning point of the album, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I think it kind of it changes pace in a nice way. It gives a different voice to the creepy, eerie, sort of astral sort of atmosphere that we've been going for. Like, I don't think if all the songs on this album were like hyper blasting fast, I don't think it would be as effective at kind of selling the whole idea of the overall atmosphere. So I like that we changed it up and did something different for this track. And I don't know, it kind of, I couldn't really say if there was like a certain band or song or album or something that he might have been trying to mimic with this track. I think he was just really going with some sort of Michael Moorcock, H.P. Lovecraft sort of story, and maybe more influenced by the story in this case than another band or metal in general. Which is what I liked working with him on. He was always really interested in writing an interesting story to songs. So I think you can tell on this album which ones are mine. Mine are all the Satan songs, and his are all the more fantasy kind of stuff, Lovecraft sort of shit. Yeah, it's a great track. I think it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's funny how it keeps layering on more and more stuff, and it never gets boring as far as I'm concerned. And I can't really think of any other band that really sounds really anything like this. Like there's a lot of like kind of post-a-lot clones that do a lot of sort of atmospheric black metal, slow kind of stuff, but I just don't think this is really in that same wheelhouse.
That shit's
At all.
boring.
Yeah, I'm not into Egglok at all. Sorry, Hunter Goon.
I know,
but
he's
yeah.
drumming for that shit.
And then the next song after this is super weird. That was like, just we really wanted to make it as insanely weird as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird track. I definitely vocally tried to push myself and do even more weird, wild stuff. I was really pushing myself into like if you remember Dodheim's Monumental Possession, some of the Vikotnik's vocals on that were really just like throaty and super necro sounding like I've never heard anybody else. I was kind of influenced by him.
Yeah, that next track is just like holding your own with the drums for like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and it has a lot of that towards the end negative space with the riffs too, where like the double kicks of the drums come in and fill in that space, and that's where the synthesizer really shines. At least for my my listenings of it, it's like this is playing a whole role throughout the entire track instead of seeing glimpses of it come up. It seems to be playing like a bass or rhythm guitar sort of role rather than like an accented lead or something that you would normally get with like keys in a song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great.
I really
great
hope
song.
a lot of people I wish more people would get on our level and experience weird black metal like this kind of stuff. I think we're pretty ahead of our time and doing some adventurous shit that I still wish bands to this day would get more weird and try more bananas kinds of things.
Yeah, and I think you really shined a very important point with this album and this band in general of the type of black metal that you guys made, which was just very dynamic. Like, not from song to song, it's very different. You could tell from the Bathory cover to the one we just heard, but even within tracks, it's just varied. There's not any riff that sounds the same. It may have certain components or motifs that it takes from the previous riff that it's repeating, but it all sounds unique. And I think that just goes to show, like, again, shining a light on the songwriter for this album is just totally unique and avant-garde in a way that people still aren't really having a grasp on, but they may have not even taken a breath of this in yet to really influence anyone, because it's so guarded and gated by the names. And such a fucking shame. I'm glad I grew up on porno grind and was like, all right, penis or whatever.
Yeah. I kind of feel like if the label I Void Hanger had existed back in our day, we would have been kind of perfectly at home with that kind of family. I really like some of the stuff they're putting out, like Essek Trillahem is really cool. But things just never quite lined up. We always had to self-release our shit. I know you mentioned you got the demo from Suffering Jesus up there in Canada, and we were pretty close, I think, to getting signed with Suffering Jesus and putting stuff out on that label, but I think she folded before that ever happened, or not sure exactly what happened, but
Yeah,
we were like, yes, we finally have a label, we don't have to do it on our own.
It was kind of a weird little scenario. Do you remember they put out that Black Metal Juggernaut album from, or compilation from, oh fuck, what were they called? This Finnish band that was kind of a joke band in some aspects. Can't remember what they're called now. It's driving me nuts. But
Black Throne.
Yes,
Black
that's
Throne.
the one. And the guy from Satanic War Master kind of put out a boycott against Suffering Jesus because of that. And she kind of went, fuck this, and just kind of decided to hang it up.
That would have been a great promotion. I wish she would have caught wind of our band and told us to fuck off.
No, it was just she was like, I'm not in this for drama, so she just kind of ended it. As far as I know, that's what I heard. Don't know to what degree it's true, I don't know, but
Evil Edith.
that's the one.
That's her name.
Marianne was her real name, if I remember correctly.
Huh. You know that band Toltar?
Super nice too. Sorry, which one?
You know that band Toltar or Chulchar? On Suffering Jesus?
Off the top of my head, no. Which one?
It's
What did they
spelled-
release? Oh, that one. Yeah, the one like TJO, however the hell you. Yeah, I had one of their releases, and I couldn't tell you which one. That was on
It's
Suffering
got a million
Jesus.
of them.
Yeah,
I
That's
met him and hung out with him a couple weeks ago. He came to visit, and we've been friends for like 20 years and finally met up.
is he still releasing albums under that name?
He's working on some other stuff, but yeah, it's
Okay.
coming out. Blood Cult and Tolchar, and still active. Yeah, we're gonna be working on
Yeah.
something secret here soon too.
Yeah, no, that was a cool band. They were popular for a while in the I guess mid 2000s. Well, they felt popular to me. I kept seeing them pop up here every so often, but I never knew how to pronounce their name. Tjogultjar?
He says Toltar.
Okay,
I
good
didn't
to
really know either, but yeah, we kind of said Chulchar or whatever.
Oh, look, it's right here on their archives page. Pronounced Toltar. Would not have guessed that from the J's and the G's.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's a cool project. It's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should we get into the final track of this album?
Yeah,
It's such a
If you can fucking handle it.
yeah. We just got through a 11-minute track, and here's a slightly shorter one, but not for the faint of heart. So that's gonna be Empire of the Necromancers. So if you die, we'll
It's
bring
kind of
you
our
back.
death metal track.
All right, we'll be right back.
Gouged from bloody sockets, flesh burned. brownish. The grain fields perished. The lakes and ponds became black and stagnant. The land withered as before a plague. A plague of evil.
right, guys, we're not gonna put you through a minute of silence, so we cut out a little early. But there was the last track right there, and I said it's almost like we all arrived at a restaurant starving, and as soon as the food arrived, we just ate and didn't talk because we were just that hungry, and I think the music was just that good.
Yeah, speaking of that, I could use a hot dog right now.
You already Googled penis. Leave it at that.
Yeah, Satan's
You know what? I knew you were going to say something about a penis because I said hot dog. What's wrong with your
That's
mind,
where I was
dude?
going.
Satan's almighty glizzy.
Satan's
wrong with my
almighty
mind?
hot dog. Very
I'm
good.
5 years old. That's what's wrong with it.
Ah,
No, but
grow up, motherfucker.
I mean, what do you guys think of that track?
okay.
That shit sounded finished, dude. I feel like I sound like Jeff the Drunk right now. Dude, it reminded me of. Do you remember that band Hammer from Finland? Reminded me of that shit.
Hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like to me. They had that fucking just epic, super cat. Or, you know who else it sounded like? I don't know if you guys remember Sarkrista. It sounded like that to me. Sarkrista,
Yeah, I like
Hammer. I don't know. I think those bands probably were maybe having demos around this time, 2004. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it sounds fucking finished to me. It has the epic feel to it.
Sarkrisa's first release is 2013.
Yeah. See, there you go. Sarkrista. I knew they were fucking later.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like any other death metal bands that have this much like atmosphere, and I can't really. Like the Chasm kind of comes to mind a bit.
Yeah, dude, I forgot to mention that when the slow track came on.
Mm-hmm.
There was a fucking song from the Chasm I was showing my friend, and I was kind of being a smartass about it. I was like, oh, everybody shits their pants about this band. It sounds okay. It's just a bunch of slow melodic riffs one after another. Can't even remember what the name of the album was. It was, Paul, what's the one you like? The one with the fucking skull on it. What the hell is it called?
It's like,
Is it the Spell of Retribution?
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure.
Retribution.
Yeah, there's a song on there that's just like basically a what do you even call it? Like a fucking like a ballad. It's just like a slow ballad.
Huh.
Yeah, so that slow one kind of reminded me. I forgot to mention
Ready?
it.
I think it gives the album a very good send off. It's a different flavor. It feels distant, like it's slowly fading away. Just an awesome way to cap the album off.
Yeah, I think it has sort of like acts to it. Like the beginning was just basically solo guitar. That Ben mentioned was influenced from like Judas Iscariot, and it's like 2 minutes of this guitar intro, and then splits right into the blasting drum beat that just like you could tell it's like this drum machine program sample thing that just like cuts right into it, and it's just like perfect, and it continues with that really ascending Finnish black metal melody, but with these monstrous death metal vocals that we've got glimpses of and heard a lot of on the second half of Tentacles, and it just holds like the perfect contrast in there, and the way that it just sends off towards the latter half of the track is honestly like the perfect way to end this album, and it just goes to show again that how varied this band is. Even playing in different styles, it all has that sort of like watermark on the riffs and tone and style. That's Satan's almighty penis, you know.
I love how that just undercuts your very eloquent praise of our
Every time
record.
you say the band name, Satan's almighty penis.
Oh, grow up.
Grow up.
But
I
Ben,
want grow up.
What do you think of that? You must be
That
must be
that
proud,
was a song
man.
from Freaky Friday. Remember? I don't want to grow up. I don't want to learn.
Take me
P. Diddy.
away.
Your way. That's right.
It's majestic, like not a lot of death metal is. I was thinking it kind of also reminds me of like Misery's Omen. Sometimes they can be.
Oh, good fucking band, dude.
Oh yeah, I love those guys. They can be really, really sorrowful, but they also kind of have the death metal kind of slant that kind of reminds me of like Sacrifice too. But pretty unique style. I think it's pretty incidental how we arrived upon it. But you know, we were always going for atmosphere, and I don't know if I sang black metal style over that. Do you think it's a black metal song? I can't really. I kind of like how it toes the line between both.
Yeah.
Black and death metal. But it's an atmospheric track overall. Evokes the same kind of Lovecraftian thing that everything else on the album does pretty well. Finishes the album out great. Kind of has this forlorn sort of goodbye, single fan of Satan's almighty penis, I'll never meet you again kind of way about it.
We just met
Please
here.
don't go.
Don't-
Don't leave.
That was
Alright,
a Happy
so-
Days reference.
Yeah. Don't. Oh.
And yeah, it's good. I don't think I'll have to listen to Pulsing Fair Aspire again tomorrow, but I don't think we were nearly
awesome,
as
man.
like varied or diverse or dynamic as we were on this album.
I don't know,
I
man.
could be wrong.
I feel like it's like a condensed version of this album with how varied it is and how like from riff to riff, and especially the drumming on there just gives it so much more like you could tell the next part's like definitively there versus like being a drum machine or sampled drum tracks. You know, it feels like it was like made together, but you said that was more the case for the EP.
Yeah. Well, we wrote Pulsing Fair Aspire together too in the same rehearsal space as my basement.
Oh, okay. But yeah, man, I ain't got nothing else to say because like that song just leaves me
There's
speechless.
shit in your pants.
Yeah,
And or
the
jizz.
brain
Yeah.
smashed after
Ah.
hearing that.
See what you did there.
Glad you liked it.
But yeah, you guys want to get in some final
Like when
thoughts on this?
Brainsmasher does the funny voices. That's good.
Yeah, I do. I do that
It
all
feels
day long
real.
at
It
work.
feels like. See, that's what we do mostly. It's just the stupid voices.
No one laughs though.
How do you know?
About like another maybe like dozen people on my team, and we all have these radios where we have to like communicate with one another, and I'm really good at like mimicking someone else's voice. So I'll like troll people into thinking that I'm responding to them, and I'll tell them to fuck off, or I'll fuck with people. It's pretty fun.
Can you imitate Paul or Fred or my voice?
No.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Maybe
That's
next time,
me.
yeah.
It's
I gotta-
Paul right here.
Yeah, I'll have to work on it a little bit.
Yeah, I fucking loved it. I only got a hum from Fred. He goes.
I gotta fucking
No, my
take a
computer
cigarette.
started
Break
crap. My computer cut out for a little bit. My battery's dying.
I think I left my
I'll have to
cigarette
try-
outside, man.
Oh, that's me. That's me as Nick Hessenfrum. I left my cigarette outside, man.
You kind of have like a Jerry Seinfeld kind of way about you, about your voice.
What?
I don't want to be a pirate.
I don't want to be a pirate. Yeah, there you go.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yes, very good, very good. Jerry Seinfeld, Kevin James. All right, we've heard.
All right, final thoughts, Fred. Go. Battery's dying. Very good.
Very good.
I was looking at my computer because it did something funny again. No, like just what a great album. It's it's so not what people would expect. Again, I think the expectations of this being either a joke or just straight out war metal are there, and it's just so not the case. There's so much going on. There's so much that you don't hear in just, for lack of a better term, run-of-the-mill black metal albums. Yeah, everything on here is... It has its own flavor, and I think anyone that actually appreciates black metal is not afraid to push limits and push buttons. Will enjoy this. If
Push penis is right. That's right.
yeah. If you just want a dark throne or a dark clone, yeah, go somewhere else.
Hell yeah.
Some people just like dark clones, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want something a bit more interesting, then this is where it's at.
A bit. All right, Danny, go.
For real, I think
I know.
I think this record.
Have you taken a whole 180 to this? He said, "Oh, I hate this." He said,
When did I ever say I hate this? What? When did I ever say that?
"I'll bring the
I
receipts
want to be a
up."
pirate.
Show your true colors.
No. Paul showed me the latest album, and I think I just didn't give it a chance. And like the 5 seconds outside of fucking band practice, like, check this out. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But that was the latest album.
Bruh.
I knew Satan's Almighty Penis was cool. I knew from the demo, and bringing on into the Cunt of Chaos is it was a nice surprise. And for real, I think this album is a giant leap forward, and like it's a giant fucking binocular look into what bands can do and what can be accomplished if you're ambitious enough, and if you're. I don't think bands even need to be that good to play good stuff. Like look at Leukemia. They played good stuff, but they even announced to themselves, they're like, "Oh, we're not even good musicians." If you have the idea, you can make it work. Think it, dream it, do it. As someone once said, I forget who.
I think it was Dexter.
Maybe it
just
was
happened?
Dexter. I think, yeah. What? Either way, dude, I really do think this is a huge like leap forward, and not just for 2004, but for right now, because I'm just not hearing a ton of stuff that's totally innovative. I mean, maybe there's some stuff. Fucking Ben brought up Misery's Omen, and that whole circle of bands is great. Sacrifice, all that shit. I think there's enough stuff online that people can fucking listen to, and create something on their own. There just needs to be the will to do it, and not just the will to go, I like raw black metal. Here's a black metal sounds like it was recorded on a cassette. You like it? We're called Nachtlichtenmord. And so then you can get something good besides Nachtlichtenmord or whatever.
We recorded this in the forest.
Yeah, you can do something good, and you can have original artwork, and you can have a wacky name like Satan's Almighty Penis, and it can be awesome. Because it is a good name. That's just the thing. Satan's Almighty Penis
Not to
is
be
a terrific
confused
band
with
name.
Satan's penis.
Right. Or Satan's Host, or whatever.
I think the name is right up there with Gonculator.
Yeah. And I think the bands are kind of similar in a sense.
Yeah.
To the point that, yeah, they just kind of are.
Just do whatever the fuck they want.
Both heavy. You know something? I did say before, the middle EP, I think it was called Thy Foulness Come. I'm not looking at it, but I'm just going off memory.
Got him.
That one fucking... Dude, that one has some like Demon-y stuff in it. That there's just terrific fucking ideas.
Oh yeah.
And I think
We
the fact
love
of...
Demon-y.
it's terrific. And I'm glad you brought this on, Paul, and I'm glad Ben came on. I'm a happy
Pleasure.
man tonight. I can go to Taco Bell after this and smile.
Well, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Yes,
you
everyone
go.
can enjoy this. Yes.
We've
Well,
got
that
a lot
purple
accomplished
joke
with
for the
limited
party.
resources.
Yeah, and I'll say that again, this is one of my favorite black metal releases, favorite black metal vocal performances, and just from how varied it is from track to track. It's not boring at all. It's very entertaining and interesting the whole way through, even with a track with one riff. I mean, we just showed you that it could be done. There was not a single crow cawing or wind blowing through trees. It was all microphone stands and spaghetti bowls that made the best, or in my opinion, best black metal.
No pagan schlock is what you're saying.
Yeah. And,
Best use of a spaghetti bowl in all of black metal.
Yeah, and what Ben said, he said that he doesn't know if he considers this to be like second or third wave. I kind of consider this to be like an undertow for what's to come after second wave. It didn't necessarily take off or, influence or generate bands to come, and I think that's a shame. But you guys were there right after second wave went into Norsecore and created something that was worth looking back into and worth having people to check out, to get ideas from, and actually like have progress within black metal that isn't dissonant. What's that band called? Like Macedon sort of sludge black metal
dude,
riffs.
That's such a great point. I was thinking of the same thing. This band has the great progression without being one of these Macedon Deathspell Omega type
Yeah,
bands.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
not
Smarty
like
Dowdy or fucking.
Yeah, it's not like orthodox black metal. It's sort of a progenitor of something new that is still not done, and it seems like you can go 20 years back, you won't hear anything like it, and 20 years forward to now, still nothing like it. And great job, Ben, and especially with your your partner in this album. You guys made a great album, and honestly very consistent and varied discography that is a joy to listen to every time.
God damn, would you say that if I wasn't here, honestly?
No, Fred would
Yes.
actually said that sucked, that first track.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm humbled by your thoughts on it. We were definitely, I don't think we realized how capable we were with the limited resources we had. We were just really kind of existed in a tiny little hole where there wasn't much of a scene here. Didn't really have much connections interpersonally outside of online friends and stuff that we could share our ideas with and stuff and get influences from. But we used the internet to bring black metal into our houses and influence us to make a cool record. And we would always joke like we were 20 years ahead of our time, and in 20 years people would finally catch on and sing the praises of this album, and it would revolutionize black metal and make it good again.
Here you go.
I'm hoping that's day one right here, motherfucker.
Yeah. The 100 listeners will take heed now.
Yeah. Chapter 2, day 1 right here.
And check out Brainsmasher on YouTube. God damn it.
Yeah.
Peter, God damn it.
on my Smashcast. I do have a podcast. I got kicked off of Spotify, but it's a lot different. I just play. It's kind of like a radio show. I just play tracks on there. But yeah, get on my YouTube channel and learn more about obscure stuff, just like these guys are spitting every day. Yeah.
Hut to it.
Yes, she's so funny. We know the hawk to it. Oh my god.
She made the blowjobs into words.
Hut to it. All right.
Breaking
shall we
news:
call
Donald
it?
Trump hates Taylor Swift. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Breaking
Is that
news:
more or less-
P. Diddy arrested.
Is that more or less important than PD? Yeah.
I don't know. No, that's more important.
Anyways, Ben, any parting words? Want to send us off?
No, keep doing what you're doing. I gotta get to bed. I'm sleepy now.
Good night. We'll have you
Those
on
are
again.
the parting words. Good night.
Yeah.
Normally,
Let's
I'm the one
do
who
it
says
again
that.
soon.
Yep.
maybe I'll think of an album we can all challenge each other on, and we'll do it again.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye
All
bye.
right, cheers, guys.
Toodles.